You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
It has been 75 days since actor Sushant Singh Rajput's unfortunate demise on 14th June. In those 75 days, in a swift administration of media justice, his partner and actor Rhea Chakraborty has been accused of murdering the actor and also found guilty of it. In between this accusation and conviction by a special bench of the media court comprising all the usual suspects, television channels have found her guilty of controlling his life, putting him on drugs, spiking his tea, swindling his money, giving him certain medicines, not giving him certain medicines, distancing him from his family, using him to get film offers, having other affairs, performing black magic on him, appreciating marijuana from Bhubaneswar, and also calling him babu. This unrelenting coverage by television media, described as a circus by many, has a familiar pattern to it. Why do news channels not care about the overt misogyny? Why haven't we learnt any lessons from previous media trials, and why does Rhea Chakraborty tick all the boxes of a made-for-television villain? We have journalist, author and media commentator Naomi Datta with us today to explore these questions. You're tuned into The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the headline-making news for you, and I'm your host, Sushant. Sushant Singh Rajput's case was officially handed over to the CBI on 5th August, following a prolonged turf war between Mumbai police and Bihar police that managed to reach the Supreme Court. Rhea has been questioned by Mumbai police, the Enforcement Directorate, the CBI, and is likely to also be grilled by the Narcotics Control Board. However, outside the course of legal procedures, this episode did not take long to devolve from a mature conversation on mental health, depression and suicide to a shrill allegation of cold-blooded murder. The media's role in perpetuating misogynistic stereotypes appeared to ensure Rhea checks all the boxes of a perfect made-for-television villain. But what made this so easy, though?
This word gets bandied around a lot, misogyny. It gets used a lot. We have a lot of it, obviously, in Indian society, and it's very internalized. Not just, we have this template that once the girl comes in, the boy is no longer yours. You know what I mean? Now,
right.
And it's something, it's something which is part of our mothers speak like that. Even we speak like that. Like, I have a niece and a nephew, and I keep saying things like, "Arey, once he gets married, he won't even look at you."
Right.
So it is as internalized as that, where you are conditioned into believing that a woman can come in and completely take your boy away. So that's exactly what's happening with Rhea. Is that also the problem is that he was the successful one. He was a big star, if you know what I mean. She's not even very well known. Like, I don't think how many people would have known who she was before all this happened. So unfortunately, all the cards are stacked against her. Also she's not, how do I say it? She's not gharelu. She looks glamorous, she's attractive, her Insta feed has her looking extremely glamorous. So she fits all the stereotypes. All the boxes are ticked. Of course, this wicked girl must have come and wrenched him away from his loving family. Of course, this girl must have come and, introduced him to drugs. And he's 34 years old, and he's a man of the world who's had a share of relationships, who had built up a movie career. He was not a child, right? And not just in Indian society, I think it's world over. That we tend to, if it's an attractive young woman is at the center of things, you want to. It's just very, how do I say? It's very like engaging television. It's very
Right.
engaging soap television. So that's the problem. It's no longer news. It's become soap television. Or it's become this fantastic reality show. You always have to have one screaming woman. World over, there's misogyny. World over, we have these gender stereotypes. But now the problem is we have the internet. So it is getting amplified and broadcast to some other level altogether. And the biggest problem is that the cues are being picked up from social media. It should be the other way around, right? Like your mainstream media should not be picking up their cues from social media, but that's what's happening.
Right,
So
right.
so if you have people with internet connections, nobody's bots, you don't know who they are. If they have an orchestrated campaign and they keep going at it and they keep going at it, then before you know it, the mainline channels say, "Arey, this is what Twitter is feeling like. This is what the popular sentiment is," and they forget that they are not supposed to be pandering to popular sentiment. They're supposed to be doing fact checks. They pick on that. So that's what's happening, and it's all because. This is not going to go away, but now everybody has an internet connection. And we have irresponsible news channels. So that's exactly what is happening in this case.
While there has been widespread criticism from within the media fraternity, on social media and among the public, of the speculative and salacious nature of the coverage, hardly anyone seems to be surprised by this media trial. Be it the Arushi Talwar double murder case in 2008, Jia Khan's death in 2013, the Indrani and Peter Mukherjee case in 2015, and now Rhea Chakraborty, the media has been a repeat offender in its intrusive over-reporting. Are the audiences who are consuming it as prime-time entertainment also to blame? Or is it primarily the media's responsibility to draw a line and be mindful of its own code of ethics?
So the thing is, I remember about 10 years back when, you had this, not even 10, about 15 years back, you had a very clear divide that you would have the English news channels, which were a little proper, and, they would do news like you had the NDTVs of the world, maybe a little elitist. I'm not saying that was the perfect way to do things either. And then you had the Hindi news channel, which came along, which kind of a little masala, very spicy and all of that. Now, what happened in around 2006, 2005, when you had this new burst of English news TV channels, so be it CNN, IBN or Times Now, and suddenly, all the news editors were saying things like, but we want the aggression of a Hindi news channel. Now, when they say we want the aggression of a Hindi news channel, it sounds very good. Okay. But it was a euphemism for we want their numbers. So let's take a leaf out of their book. So when they say aggression, it was not their aggression in chasing a story, but aggression in making up a story. Okay.
Right.
So then it just went from bad to worse, and we are in the situation that we are in now. The problem is that, let me tell you that I make reality shows, so it's not like I'm on I'm not in a high horse or anything of the sort. Like reality shows are about exploiting the basest emotions, the basest human emotions. Okay, but that is a reality show. It is classified as entertainment. Okay, the people who are on my reality shows are participants who have willingly signed up for it. So when you see a Big Boss and it's the lowest of the low, those people have willingly signed up for putting their lives and making a spectacle of themselves. So that's a reality show, that's entertainment. Okay, but news is not entertainment. So you can't say this is what the audience wants, so I'm going to give it to you. I mean, I'm sure, like porn is, I'm sure, very highly watched. So, you could put that on, if it becomes legal, you could put that on and say, what, people really like to watch it. So it's not my fault. I'm just giving people an opportunity to watch something that they really enjoy. So I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. Of course, the audiences will watch something which appeals to their basest emotions. Of course, we are all voyeurs. You know what I mean?
Right.
Of course, this case will interest us more than floods in Bihar. And I'm talking about me as well, personally. Of course, this will interest me a lot more than something else that's going on. But that doesn't, you cannot absolve yourself of the responsibility that news has.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
A lot of people beat up the audience. Yeah, but what to do now? People are so stupid. They are watching this. That's not the point. You cannot wash off your hands from your responsibility as journalists and as news media. Because people will watch and you're rigorously manipulating them and you're rigorously feeding them these facts and you're building up this wonderful, entertaining spectacle. Of course they will watch.
Media watchers, however, say this case stands out for a number of reasons, primarily for its unrelenting nature and an aggressive competitiveness among news networks to outdo each other. They have pointed out that incidents such as grilling of a food delivery person, going after security guards, dissecting private chats without context, and even showing Sushant's dead body are indications that channels are fighting not just against one another, but also against social media and WhatsApp gossip.
Maybe I haven't paid. No, I did follow the Arushi case also quite a bit, but this one has been relentless. And the kind of theories that have been put out, the kind of conspiracy theories that have been put out, the kind of the kind of hysteria on this and the things that have been said, not just about Rhea, but about anyone who is remotely or they think is remotely associated with the case. The things which have come on WhatsApp and WhatsApp forwards have become stories, have become news stories. And it's right. Just going, it's just going to new lows every day. Like yesterday, a news channel which did not get the interview, the Rhea Chakraborty interview, in a fit of sour grapes, showed visuals of Sushant Singh Rajput's body and put in a lot of disclaimers saying no, we are not being voyeuristic. We just want to show you how exactly he died. I didn't even watch the clip because it was disturbing. But that for me was a new low. That was terrible. You have taken away every iota of dignity from this person's death anyway, and now you're stooping to this because you didn't get the interview, and then you're moralizing. It's like, we were forced to do this because we really want to get to the bottom of this crime. That is not your job.
Finally, after maintaining a steady silence, barring a video of her demanding a CBI inquiry, Rhea broke this silence on 27th August to journalist Rajdeep Sardesai. This was the first instance of Rhea, described as the prime accused in the case, answering questions after questions in a 100-minute-long interview. It elicited a deluge of responses from all quarters, some in support of her, some calling it a staged stunt. However, a large question some have asked is of the diversion from a host of other issues, including the COVID-19 pandemic's consequences and the current economy. The final question is, where does the media go from here?
This one particular channel has stopped calling it a suicide. They call it murder. Not alleged, not reported, murder. Because they have decided. And I'm like, where is the accountability for this? You're not even going to say alleged and reported or say mysterious death, which is a good enough euphemism then for whatever it is. You're just calling it murder because you have decided it is murder. And you also know you can get away with murder. No pun intended. There is no accountability. There is absolutely no accountability. Nobody is going to pull you up. Nothing is happening. And it's scary. So I've been writing quite often on media trials and what it can do to a person's reputation, irrespective of whether they're guilty or innocent. And because the problem is that even if they are finally proved innocent, nobody remembers that. They only remember all the allegations that were brought against them. Like you look at the Talwar case, for instance. Whatever happened in that case is widely documented. But even today, till today, even after they've been acquitted, there is a certain section which believes that they got away with murder. And that will never escape them. Or you look at a very famous documented case of the Amanda Knox case in Italy.
Right.
There has been enough evidence to suggest that there was nothing on her. But even today in Italy, the popular perception is that she got away with murder. Even though she was acquitted finally by the highest court there. So this is the problem with allegations, that because the allegations get amplified so much, they get broadcast so much that they stick on you. And finally, when after however many years, if there is nothing, people don't remember. So public memory can be very selective.
If you like listening to this podcast, please subscribe to the Big Story playlist for episodic updates. We are live on Apple, Google Podcast, Spotify, JioSaavn, and other popular podcast streaming platforms. For other podcasts, please log on to the Quint website and check out our podcast section. For any feedback, shoot an email to podcasts@thequint.com.